Dr. Will Tuttle's bestseller, The World Peace Diet, Eating for Spiritual Health and Social Harmony, outlines the far-reaching implications of our food choices. First published in 2005, the empowering book has been translated into 16 languages and has spawned a movement of conscious, cruelty-free living for a more spiritually, ecologically, and socially wholesome world. Chapter 2 of the World Peace Diet is called Our Culture's Roots. Here, Dr. Tuttle writes about culture in relation to our current diets and our perceptions of them.
The whole idea is that it's very liberating to understand the history and sociology and anthropology of our society. Anthropologists, for example, understand that every society transmits its values from generation to generation through the rituals of that society, and the main ritual in every society are meals. When people are eating food, we're not just eating food, we're eating attitudes. We're eating a whole range of ideas about our relationship with each other, with animals, with nature. So if we're eating meat and dairy products and eggs, we're eating a whole worldview of domination and exploitation of other beings. And that permeates our society. And the whole thing goes back about 10,000 years. Anthropologists understand this. They agree that animal agriculture first emerged in what is today Iraq, about 10,000 years ago with wild sheep, and then wild goats, and then later wild cows, and then other animals. So these were free-living animals, but they began to be the property. I own these. These are my sheep, my goats. I own them as property. That had never happened before. That was a revolution. I call it in the World Peace Diet the herding revolution. It transformed our entire society. It was a very slow revolution, took thousands of years, but gradually it did about 6 things. Number one, animals were reduced to being mere property. That has been devastating to the animals, and they've lost their status as being mysterious and powerful and intelligent beings. They're just used for flesh. And then the other animals have also been reduced to being pests. So animal agriculture created the domination of animals, the domination of nature, trying to compete with each other for land. So it led to the arising for the first time on planet Earth of a wealthy elite class of people, a class of, they were called kings. They were wealthy and powerful because they owned the most capital. Capita is an old Latin word that means head, as in head of sheep and goats and cows. And then they invented 2 more institutions that we still have with us today that are the most destructive and devastating institutions in the world. Number one is war. There had never been war on planet Earth until we started owning animals. And so it was a get-rich-quick scheme for the wealthy elite. They would see another king who had a lot of capital, a lot of sheep and goats and cows, and they would go and try to steal those, take them. And that would cause a war. So the oldest word for war on Earth is gavya. The ancient Sanskrit word gavya literally means the desire for more cows. First word for war. And that led not only to terrible suffering for people, but also to slavery. And the people who lost the war became slaves. And so animals were slaves, humans were slaves. It also led to the domination of women, because animal agriculture at its core is not just killing and confining animals, it's also breeding them against their will. So gradually men learned through animal agriculture to look at the female as merely a breeder. And so we had the arising of a very violent, patriarchal, warlike society in the Eastern Mediterranean region. The role model for young boys to emulate was the role model of a hard, tough, disconnected male who never meditates, who's just in a world of violence and domination of animals, of women, of nature. And this society spread worldwide. And in many ways, it's still spreading through a lot of the institutions in our society, the fast food restaurants, the big chemical companies, many of the governmental programs are still reflecting and still encouraging animal agriculture. We're still teaching that to our children. So it's important for us to understand this, that we're just born into this. I call this whole thing the military, industrial, meat, medical, pharmaceutical, media, banking complex. Right? We have this complex that works very well to put most of the wealth in the hands of a few people, But the good thing that's happening, we notice, is that people are awakening out of this, are waking up and seeing that when we eat plant-based foods, then we're not only much healthier ourselves, we create a healthier world for everybody.
Wonderful viewers will return soon after a brief message here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to the World Peace Diet interview with Dr. Will Tuttle, vegan, part 4 of 4. Dr. Tuttle suggests adopting a vegan diet to experience a transformational journey affecting all areas of life.
I think most people who have shifted from eating the typical standard Western animal-based diet to a whole food, organic, plant-based way of eating and living experience a big change in their life. It's really a profoundly, for me, joyful and celebrative event to actually question eating animal foods and move to eating plant-based foods in a mindful way. It's good to do it, I think, for our own physical health. And many people make that journey, that transformative journey, because their doctor told them that they have cancer or they're going to have a heart attack or they have diabetes. And so they move to a plant-based way of eating for their own health. But I think when people look even more deeply and realize that their own health is interconnected with the health of ecosystems, of animals, of other people, and we make the move to a plant-based way of eating out of not just concern about our own health, but concern about others, and a sense of kindness and caring and compassion for cows and pigs and chickens, and for oceans and ecosystems and rainforests and indigenous people and hungry people and so forth, and slaughterhouse workers. I would never take out my wallet and pay for meat, dairy products, and eggs, not just because it's not healthy for me, but I would not want someone to spend their whole day stabbing animals. I wouldn't want someone to be going hungry because I'm paying for meat that takes huge amounts of grain that could feed those hungry people. And so I think once we make these connections, and that's really why I wrote the World Peace Diet, was to help us make these connections. And then when we have our own personal adventure of transformation in our own life, the beautiful thing is that then we help create an adventure of transformation for our whole society. And that is the adventure that is happening. It is happening. It's gaining momentum. As we travel around planet Earth, we see more and more and more restaurants that are vegan opening up, more and more animal sanctuaries, more and more people creating vegan festivals and meetup groups and cooking classes and so forth. And this is all a reflection of the resurrection of Sophia, the rising up of the sacred feminine spirituality that lives inside all of us and naturally wants to have a world of kindness and caring that includes all living beings. So this is the transformation and the adventure that is happening. And each one of us, I think, if we in our lifetime can contribute to this, then when we leave our life, when we leave this life, we will be grateful that we've had the opportunity to live a human life in a way that helped be part of the solution to the problems here, that we came to this earth and instead of just causing more suffering and more misery, we're actually bringing healing and awakening. And so we will have lived our life in integrity. And I think that's the bottom line, the most important thing for all of us. And it's really wonderful to be part of this movement. For every day is an opportunity to give thanks for the journey of transformation.
Our deep thankfulness to Dr. Will Tuttle for your wholehearted dedication in promoting the wholesome, harmonious vegan lifestyle. We wish you great success in your noble mission as your message continues to inspire and awaken thousands of people around the world. For more information on the World Peace Diet, please visit worldpeacediet.com. Wise viewers, thank you for your company today.